Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all very fondly to the game that you have all been waiting for very dearly. This is Gothic 3, so I'm sure you can all tell. And before I even finished Gothic 2, a lot of people were asking me to do this. And of course I'm going to do it. Come on, let's be real here. But I did promise that would happen a long time ago. I promised more than 2 weeks ago that would happen less than 2 weeks ago. And as you can probably tell, it didn't happen that way. So, I'm starting this now. Essentially, I actually did try to record this more than 2 weeks ago, but it felt really substandard. I really did not want to post it. So I'm trying again. And as you can probably tell just from this dopey look on my dude's face, this is not the vanilla game. This is actually modded. It's got just about every single important mod that is necessary for it. It's got the community mod, the community patch, I should say, which is it's been around for a while, and they have not actually updated it in a long time. It's also got the quest packet and the content mod. The content mod is what changed most of what you see here. Can't remember what the hell the button is. Okay. And, yeah, so a lot of the outfits and stuff look different. A lot of weapons and stuff look different. A lot of these guys look different, but we will see more of that once we actually start. Essentially, the reason I started it like this is because this game runs horribly on any computer in the world. And it actually runs faster once you've got it loaded up and running for a while. So that's why I have to make the intro the way it is. But regardless, we shall soon begin. I got all those mods installed, as I said, and one of the big things is that installing the content mod actually gives you an option of which path you chose in Gothic 2. Whether you chose to be a mage, a paladin, or a mercenary. And some small things, some small additional content from the mod does change depending on your choice. And since I went with a mage in my Gothic 2 playthrough, that's exactly what we have now. And we shall see what small changes await. But the content mod actually gives some drastically huge changes. Not so much in the way the game plays out, but in a lot of additional quests, additional dialogue, and so on and so forth. So, let's get right in, and I shall talk more once we really begin. Except, apparently I have to stop to do that. So, see you in a moment. So yeah, apparently I cannot start a new game once I've already loaded a game, and that's actually because of the community patch. This whole alternative balancing thing, that's a big deal. That changes some substantial things about the difficulty in the AI. So, I guess for whatever reason, once the game is loaded, they can't do that. Once you start a game with it, you can't turn it off. So we have to start a new game as such. And unfortunately, yes, with the content mod 2.6.1, I can't remember the version titles, or the version numbers of all these mods, but I'm pretty sure they're the most up-to-date, at least the most up-to-date for English. But, like I said, the frame rate when you're starting this game is awful, as anyone who has played it can attest. And it does pick up after a little while, but since I can't really load up the game and then start a new one, there's no real way to get the ball rolling with this. You have to deal with some single-digit frame rates for a little while. I've considered, and might actually attempt later on, recording this with a Hop-Hog PVR that I have, which is what I'm using to record Dark Souls 2. Using that to record this because I can set it up pretty easily, but the problem is I cannot hear anything while I'm playing. It'll record the sound just fine, but I cannot hear it while I'm playing. That's only when I'm recording with my laptop. If I had a desktop computer, it would work fine. But since I don't, this is what we have to deal with. I'm using Fraps right now, and yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. Anyway, intro is starting. Pay attention. Especially those of you who speak German.
Nicht einmal die Götter wissen, was das Schicksal für uns bereithält.
Du wirst zurückkehren, aber du wirst keine Ruhe finden.
Ein einzelner Gefangener hatte das Schicksal von Hunderten geändert.
Dunkelheit zieht über das Land, das Böse wird triumphieren. Mutige Gefährten, du wirst deine Wahl treffen.
Velia hat mich erwählt. Und ich habe seine Macht in mir aufgenommen.
Der König wird den Krieg gegen die Orks verlieren.
Was ist hier passiert?
Ich habe ein echt mieses Gefühl.
Letzter Scheiß.
Dieses Land wird auf alle Zeit den Orks gehören. Bald wird auch der letzte Mora sein Haupt vor mir neigen. Und ich, Khan, werde über dieses Land herrschen. Sie sind bloß Würmer, die wir zertreten müssen. Horashaka!
Horashaka!
Sie sind nicht wie die Krieger von Nordmar, die sich uns immer mit Ehre gestellt haben. Jetzt sind wir die Herren hier.
Nichts. Kommt.
Glaubst du wirklich?
Verdammt. Was ist da draußen eigentlich los?
Mein König, immer noch keine Nachricht über das Schiff. Und die Orks stehen vor dem inneren Ring.
Dann haben wir keine Wahl.
Yeah.
Innos führt uns in den Kampf gegen die Dunkelheit.
Ich muss pinkeln.
Ich weiß, Mann, ich weiß.
Es war Khans Wille. Also muss es nicht.
Was soll das alles bedeuten?
Scheiße. Du siehst kräftig aus. Sardas hat angeordnet, dass alle Moras zu den Grabungen gebracht werden. Und ihr seht wie aus wie Moras.
Nur ein toter Ork ist ein guter Ork.
Unterwerft euch.
Lass uns Orks jagen. Auf sie!
Ah! No tips, thank you. Oh my god, more frames, please. Oh. Horrendous. Alright, well, as far as I know, until you draw blood in this battle, you're actually completely safe. But the frame rate's not really going to pick up until more of these assholes stop moving. So we're going to have to live with that. Oh, you bastard. The good thing is this is somewhat of a tutorial, so you can't actually die here. Alright, I'll explain a lot more stuff after a while. But, basically, I don't know if those German voiceovers existed in the original German version of the game. They definitely did not exist in the original English, as you can well imagine. In the English version, there were no voiceovers in the... Oh, Christ, he's after me. There were no English voices in the intro at all. Oh, you're clever. Oh. Now you're dead. Alright, so... Yeah, if anyone wants to give at least a hasty translation of that intro, I'd really appreciate it. I'm curious what they said. Alright, so I am being double-teamed here. Ah, Christ. You can't actually die in the intro, because as soon as they knock you down, they'll go after someone else. But I don't know if that still holds true if you leave these guys really far from down. So you have to be careful with that. Oh, I've been knocked over. Ouch, ouch. Good thing is, you can sprint in this one. You also have quick slots. Too close. Ah, thanks for waiting, boys. You are honorable orcs. I don't think so. Now, that's one of the most effective combos in this game. It's just a stab and a power attack. I'm a big fan of it. I also really appreciate that they give you a take all button. You're welcome. Oh, I got you first. No one will ever say that the combat in this game was terrific, but there are ways to really figure it out. Ouch! Oh, someone went down. No, he's mine! Damn straight. Backstab! Ouch! Come on! Fucker! Quit moving! You sack of shit! Mine! Get more await. Ah, you son of a bitch. Oh, there's one of the glitchiest things. If you block their spinny attack, they'll actually strike like a dozen times in a row. It's I don't think it's supposed to work that way, but it's kind of funny. Nope, missed. Mine! Ouch! Whoa! Whoa! Alright, so once we kill all these fools, you'll begin to really see what's changed. I run, bitches. What's funny is you can actually follow these guys and stop them from leaving if you're quick enough. But it's tricky to do, especially when you run out of stamina. So you know what? Fuck it. It's not worth my time. Now then. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all once again to Gothic 3. Actually, when they disappear, you get their experience anyway. Pretty much the only problem is that you miss out on the awards. I have no idea what Melty's doing all the way over here. We'll talk to him. Yeah, we'll talk to him now, I guess.
I just can't go on. See you later.
What's your problem? Why are you... That's not what you say. You're usually more talkative than that. Alright, well... basically, the first thing you gotta do, once you liberate this town, is take everything. Because if you try to take everything once it's been repopulated, that becomes a crime. Because apparently these people can move in and then the property is legitimately theirs. In spite of the fact that almost everybody who ever lived here is dead. So, there's a lot to really explain about this game, how it's different than the previous one, but since most of my viewers have played this before, I won't really bore you too much with the details. But, those of you who do wonder, a lot of things have been changed with this mod. You'll notice that the hero has a ponytail. He did not have that, and it's kind of hastily done, but it serves its purpose. His face is also dramatically different. And in fact, that's the case for where the hell did Melty go? My god, he is magic. The case goes for just about every recurring NPC in the game. Most of their faces got changed to try and be somewhat in line with what they looked like before, because Gothic 3 did a terrible job of that. One of the things that the mod also did, the community patch more specifically, Basically, you cannot learn as much from those lecterns. In the vanilla game, just about every single one of those would teach you something useful. And people found that too easy because you could pretty much learn alchemy. You could get all the way up to the maximum level of alchemy, what needs the most, which is 80. You could get that just by reading books, and you wouldn't even need to read every single one to get that far. And ancient knowledge would take you pretty far as well. Now, one of my favorite things about this game is that they never added a pickup animation when you're sneaking, which is kind of lazy, but, you know. There's a lot of reasons why this game did not turn out as good as we all thought it would be. Well, when I say a lot of reasons, I mean pretty much every reason revolves around the fact that they couldn't make the game that they really wanted to, so they say, because Joe Wood pressured them to release it too soon. I don't know how long they were working on Gothic 1, but it was a much smaller game than this, and with Gothic 2, they pretty much reused a lot of the same assets and a lot of the same stuff, which is why that game only took about maybe 2 or 3 years. This one, I guess Joe Wood kind of expected in the same time frame.
In the beginning, the nomads roamed the land.
The animations are awful with these new faces, so they fucked it up hard. But with Gothic 3, as you can imagine, it's a humongous undertaking. It's a completely different engine. It's substantially different in just about every way. And it was also, apart from like NPCs and stuff, the game looked amazing at the time. I forgot I already looted these. It was pretty comparable with Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, which was released around the same time. But the faces and animations were all just god-awful. And a lot of things about this game were terrible just because they claimed because they couldn't make it the way they wanted. They had to make a lot of compromises just to get it in the time frame that Joe Wood was pushing them for. This game, let's see, I think Gothic 2 was released in 2002, maybe 2001, I don't remember. This was released in 2006. So that's 4 or 5 years, depending, which seems like a long time, but you realize they're a really small studio. They custom build their own game engine. You know, nothing was reused. Nothing was, this was all, you know, this was all just invented for this one game. So, apart from Speed Tree, I'm pretty sure they used Speed Tree to place all the trees. Draw's distance is not that good. I don't think I can make it any farther. It's just, that sort of thing, I gotta be honest, yeah, it's, 720p, just live with it. But I don't think I can make the draw distance any further. Yeah, that's as good as it gets. I turn the lens flare off because fuck that. I have no idea what color grading does. But I'm pretty sure that's one of those things you need to restart if you change it, so I've never bothered to. Somebody tell me if it's actually worthwhile, because I don't know. For now, I'm going to stick with what I got, because it works apart from the occasional FPS dips. I mean, it's holding almost at 30. I would love to see it at 30. I hear a scavenger fighting something. It might reach 30 if I had the Hauppauge recording instead. What I like about the Hauppauge is it's a pass-through device, meaning it doesn't really take any much, if any, processing power on the part of the computer. So you don't get any type of performance hit, really. But I have not really tested it back-to-back with Fraps to see how much of a difference it makes. I already looted that guy. But like I said, the biggest problem is I can't just plug headphones in because I have to actually change what the Hauppauge records from, which would be the HDMI cable. Which is why I can't hear it out of the headphone jack at the same time. We're gonna snag all this. As I said, I guess they just didn't have time to actually add a grab animation for when you're sneaking.
I already know that.
I already know that, apparently. So if you're in a hurry to pick a lot of stuff up at once,
What have you done? The orcs would have let us live. Now Zardas will send even more of them after us. You need to go to Reddock.
What's Zardas?
What has Zardas got to do with the orcs?
What's wrong with you? Haven't you been here these last few weeks?
Not exactly.
Zardas is the
I've been on a
leader
boat,
of
bitch.
the orcs. He betrayed us.
What else do you know about Zardas?
He destroyed the rune magic, that filthy swine. Deprived of their magic, paladins and fire mages never stood a chance against the hordes of orcs.
Dreadful.
What's in Reddock?
The rebel camp. It's in the middle of the forest, where the wolves are.
I can handle wolves.
Yes, but those beasts are awfully aggressive, and you won't be able to find it by yourself. I think your buddy Gorn knows where it is. You should go talk to him.
How the hell would he know?
What should I tell the rebels?
Tell their leaders to send us fighters. We don't stand a chance by ourselves. Now we're also in it up to our necks.
What has happened before we arrived? The orcs always search for fresh slaves. Ardea has been free until recently. Free of orcs, but alas free of rebels too. The orcs simply showed up and took over control, and the selection began. Farmers able to work, blacksmiths, alchemists, and simple residents they wanted to displace. Where do they take the slaves? Often to ancient temples, ruins, or mines. In fact, anywhere where you can excavate something with a shovel, pick, or hammer. Are the orcs searching for something? Who knows? Perhaps buried treasure? I can't help you with this. Go to Reddock and you might get it, the answers you seek. What's that scroll? Points at his pocket. What? Oh, that. I divested it from the orc leader. Prakaz didn't pay attention for a moment while he was fighting in a battle. You stole from him? He looked several times on the scroll and raised his eyebrows. Then he looked across the lines of slaves. It seemed he was looking for somebody. Usually I wouldn't do a thing like that, but certainly not. Next I snatched it. He laid it on the table and the battle began. That's when I pocketed it. Can I see the scroll? I want to read it first. Oh, crap! What's up? Orcs are roaming around here everywhere. Zardas himself ordered them to conquer the eastern bank. Let me see it. Here, take it. I hope more orcs don't show up or we'll all be slaughtered. There's not many of you left, though. Everything will be alright. So, we got a letter. From Wardas. What's up with the camera? The camera feels mad cramped. Hang on now. Something's not right. The camera's supposed to be not like that. That's better. It was like down further for some reason. Right, well, I don't think this lectern has anything for us.
I already know that.
So, obviously what I voiced over was not part of the original script. That is part of the stuff added by the content mod. As is this. Order, Ardea. The humans of the mainland are weak, but not all humans will kneel before you without resistance. Some experienced fighters of Inos will come from across the sea. They call your reign in question. Your elite warriors proved several times to deal with the human army. These fighters are stronger and more determined because they are guided by a god. Because that I request you, secure all areas at the eastern bank. No city, no farm, no forest should stay under human control. Bestow on the soldiers no reason for hope. Zardas. So, it seems that his words ring true. Zardas is, in fact, commanding the orcs. He left us kind of enigmatically at the end of Gothic 2. All we saw was that he absorbed the soul, or the power, of the undead dragon, and then just bailed. And that's kind of worrisome. He didn't really imply what his intentions were, but they do not sound like the words of our old friend. We have to figure out what his intentions are. Wow, I left more of these guidance behind than I realized. The last thing to loot is this smithy here. Now, what's interesting about this game, basically with Gothic to Gothic 2, they came up with the excuse that the hero did not escape the Valley of Mines unharmed. He was trapped in there. And after starving away and growing delirious for about 2 weeks, Zardos finally was able to pull him free. And that explains why he's so weak and why he forgot so much. With Gothic 2, they didn't give really a solid reason. Beyond the fact that he spent, a few weeks on the ship. But what's curious is actually he does have a few skills that are not things you necessarily would have gotten in Gothic 2. Basically, he's able to make potions, he's able to sneak, he's able to pick simple locks, he's able to forge a basic sword. So it seems to me that they tried to give you a well-rounded character with really entry-level skills. Just so they could say, he's basic, but he does have some skills. Some of the stuff you would have learned from the lowest ranks of just about any of the guilds in Gothic 2. But I also think it's just because, Sneak might just be there because it would have caused more problems if they tried to remove it as an entry-level skill, but I don't know. Anyway, we got more people to talk to.
Another fine mess we've got ourselves into.
What happened here?
Quite obviously, the orcs have won their war against King Robar. And now the orcs are sweeping through the land, enslaving the humans. But most of all, I would like to know what happened to Lester.
Wouldn't we all? Now, what's curious about Diego and his armor especially, one of the things that people, that modders have been trying to figure out for a while is how to dramatically change the appearance of armors in this game. And while I think this still draws upon one of the armors that already exists, what's interesting is that they seem to have directly imported the texture from Gothic 2, probably, or Gothic 1, I'm not too sure. Because you'll notice that he does not have open fists. In spite of the fact that open fists and opposable, closing fingers do exist in this game. But his gauntlets are closed, and so are Gorn's, because Gorn has the heavy... Actually, no, Gorn's fingers move. It's weird how they managed to pull it off with those, but not with his gauntlets. So I'm not too sure what that's about. But yeah, they directly imported these textures and must have placed them over an armor that already existed in order to make them work. Melties, I think, just had a texture change. That's about it. Like colors and stuff.
I can't help it. I don't like orcs. What's going on with Lester? He was going to get reinforcements. My runes have lost their power. I don't think it's any different for the other fire mages.
That was a quick assumption.
I'm going to set out and try to learn the ancient true magic.
What are you talking about?
Before there were runes, only a very few, very powerful people could do magic. That knowledge must be found somewhere. I will seek it.
I'll come with you.
We should search separately. You find Zardos. If anyone knows about magic, he will. We will meet again. I'm sure of it.
Who says he'll help us? He sounds like an evil fucker so far. Take care, Milton. Don't worry, I'll be safe. Oh, by the way, I have to tell you something important. What is it? Listen, we have undergone a lot. Really, a lot. First the magic barrier, then the dragons, and last but not least, the legendary Ardea. Yes, quite a few incidents happened on that island. The problem is I don't believe we experienced a totally new story. What do you mean by that? You remember the many dragon eggs in the Valley of Mines? Of course I remember. I never forget anything. Good, so I don't have to unfurl old stories. So what's this about? The nub of the matter is, how sure are we that the dragon eggs were only spread on the island? Do you think there could be dragons even here? I think not at all. It is only a bad thought. English! Beliar's influence here too. It is possible that the dragons hatched already. Do I go hunting dragons here too? Dragons need a long time to develop their full power. Dragons of the Valley of Mines have already been ages old. If there are any in this place, then there will probably be young ones. That therefore make them harmless, like a pet? No, of course not. They're still dragons, even a little smaller. Alright, I'll keep a lookout for these lizards. That would be fine. If you actually find a dragon or even kill one, try to see me and let me know, okay? In that case, we should consider how to proceed. You must bear in mind that the Eye of Innos is powerless now. Why? You know it performed marvelously. It was based on the divine powers, however the old rune magic has focused the magic of the gold receptacle. Then it is only a piece of jewelry without power? Yes, unfortunately. The dragons would devour you first and then slowly disgorge the amulet because of indigestion. I think I get it. Don't forget, if you finish off a dragon, let me know. I will, Milton. Alright, so... Ooh, Prekaz. Alright, cool. You got the map we need. So, what that's intended to do there, that exchange with Milton, is supposed to kind of give some continuity because of what happened in Gothic 2 and why a lot of it was not really discussed. The big thing is why the Eye of Innos never made another appearance, and I don't know why I cannot pick up the sword. There we go. The Eye of Innos, I feel like for some reason with Gothic 2, there was a lot less carried over from Gothic 2 than from Gothic 1. Most of the characters that were introduced did not make it, that were introduced in Gothic 2 did not make it into this. Vatras is the only exception. Every other character that carries between games was also in Gothic 1. So I'm not really sure why. And a lot of what happened in Gothic 2 was not quite as frequently mentioned. Although, to be honest, not much from the first one was mentioned either, but it's kind of a big deal that the Eye of Innos, you know, it was central. It was the first objective you get in the game was to find the Eye of Innos. And it was essential up until the final boss, really. Including the final boss, in fact. So the fact that it's not even mentioned and it's not in your inventory or anything is just kind of weird. But what's funny is in Forsaken Gods, about the only thing that made sense in Forsaken Gods was that they actually brought back the Eye of Innos for a purpose. I can't remember exactly what it was, because that game sucked and I never want to play it again, but, you know, there you have it.
Bad news. There will be no reinforcements.
So I noticed. What happened?
Go look for the ship. You're not gonna find it.
What?
Pirates. It was all over in a moment.
And what about our equipment?
What do you think? We'll have to get some new stuff. Talk to Diego. He knows a lot about acquiring things.
What are you going to do now?
I'm gonna try and make it to the south somehow.
But we'll meet again, surely.
I should think so.
Good. Well, apparently Diego knows a lot about acquiring things. But you know who else does? I think this guy over here does. He looks sketchy as hell. Lardo, you look really worn out. Did the cave fall on your head, or were you on a ship the last few years? Somehow both, but take it easy. You don't look so good yourself. Yeah, the orcs played a dirty trick on me. Actually, I wanted to go to Ardea, the last free village in Myrtana. It wasn't free at all. That's why I didn't go. You organized a crazy celebration there. A warlord in Faring could actually hear it. My friends and I have looked after the uninvited guests. What? You were there? Yeah, you just said you saw us there. Nevertheless, you are perhaps not as useless as the other wandering bandits. Who says I am a bandit? I saw you come from the beach. Only bandits and refugees walk the beach these days. Ask Lester if you don't trust me. But he has not fought with you. He arrived here recently. Which bandit would mess with a bunch of orcs? Are you perhaps crazy or an incredibly lucky devil? Well, he actually made quite a reasonable impression from a distance. Strange, I thought the same about you. Now I know I was wrong. I always love a good argument, but you probably don't have time for this. You got that right. Alright, listen, I haven't been honest with you. The orcs didn't blow me off without a reason. It's no surprise you look like a thief. Thief? I? Lardo? No, my friend, I am a royalist. You have a big bag, so spit it out. What do you have? I see you are nobody's fool. You also seem to be no robber, otherwise I would probably be dead. Takes you a while to realize things. So what do you sell? Okay, listen. I don't sell anything, I trade them. Usually the value remains the same. I'll trade a weapon for a weapon plus a small compensation. I have to make a living somehow. One last thing you should know. I only trade once with each person. Then let me hear what the great Lardo the Royalist has to trade. It's more important what you can give me. I had my eye on your sword since you came from the beach. Your bow also makes a tough impression. You mean my Orc Slayer and the hunting bow? Exactly, may I have a closer look at them? Don't touch them. You'll get them as soon as I see what you have. Open your bag, Lardo. I'm becoming impatient. Let me have a look. Staffs, scrolls, some potions, tools for successful lockpickings, a sword, and what? Did you find a rat in your bag? What? No. I wonder where the shield came from. You've been carrying a shield and you didn't even know it? I trade with dozens of people daily. I probably just forgot about it. Plus, it's easy to carry. Okay, whatever. Let's make a deal. I'll trade your bow with a found shield. I'll give you a sword for the Orc Slayer. If you want to trade all of them, then I can offer you a two-handed staff and a scroll. You do not have much time for my weapons. Give me the staff and the scroll. First, I will prove the value of your sword and bow to see which scroll fits them. Okay, both look better from a distance. Quarterstaff and one light scroll should be enough for you. The sword was sharpened recently. Surely you can offer more. 2 light scrolls? Are you trying to fool me? You have a tome full of scrolls. Okay, I have a healing scroll, a scroll of poisoning, and a scroll that can probably summon animals. Alright, I like the animals one actually. That's a very useful spell in this game. There you're all ready too. You smell like a ripper. When did you take a bath last? So now I have the staff and the scroll. Yes, but listen, don't do anything stupid, especially if I'm not around. I do not need more. Well, you're not going to get more. We had our trade. Unfortunately, nothing special. At least I have 50 gold in my bag. Someday I'll find a moron who wants to donate his gold to me. That one over there looks like he has gold. You stay away from Lester. Alright, so that's that. Apologize for my terrible voice acting. So now we have a staff. As a weapon, the staff is not too impressive. But it's better than nothing. And it also gives a mana bonus, which is helpful because I'm going to start trying to do some magic almost right away. Now that's something new. You saw I actually failed to open the lock. Basically, the way this game works with a mod, or the community patch, is if you have precisely the skill level needed to open this lock, you have, I think, a 30% chance of failure, where you just break your lockpick. And that's, I guess, the furthest extent that they could reasonably make this game so that, you know, there's a chance of failure instead of just reaching the points and being done. And I failed another one. I never seem to fail more than twice in a row, but still, it's annoying when even that much happens. Now, one thing I have to wonder is why Bethesda, even as recently as Skyrim, cannot make a game where it'll rain outdoors but not indoors. Even in Skyrim, if you were hiding under something, but you were not in an interior cell, as they called it, snow would be falling through the roof. Or snow or rain. But in this game, and in fact every other Gothic and Risen game, rain realizes when there's a surface between you and the sky. So, I don't know why they can always pull that off, and any other game can pull that off, but no Bethesda game ever will. Blows my mind. Anyway, enough complaining about that. So, this is probably going to be one of my, perhaps the absolute longest series I have. The only game I can expect to contend with it will probably be Dark Souls 2. That's right. I don't know how long Dark Souls 2 is supposed to be. People say 60 hours, and that's probably if you don't do anything else, because even my first playthrough of the first Dark Souls took me about 100 hours, and that was not even doing the DLC or a lot of the optional things. But this game, especially with the content mod, is just unfathomably huge. We have a map. The map is actually not as big as Skyrim. Skyrim would take a lot longer to get from one end to the other. The problem with Skyrim is there's a lot of stuff, but a lot of it is just not very thrilling, and it's not really necessary to really say that you completed the game. This game has one particular really long protracted side quest that I actually have not yet completed to this day, because I'm not sure if it was part of the vanilla game. I think it was, actually, based on what I read. But at any rate, it wasn't until a few years ago that I even knew this quest existed, and I have yet to finish it. And basically, once we get to Varant and we explore there a bit, we'll actually be able to kick off this quest, and I'd be very excited to finally finish it. Alright, well, we talked to Lester, so let's talk to Diego again.
Pirates. Those rotten bastards made off with our treasure.
Looks like it.
We'll have to deal with that later, I'm afraid. You see, we have a problem.
What problem?
Go talk to the village elder.
Already did.
I had a talk with the village elder. So, what do you suggest?
First, we need to get an overview of the mess the orcs have been making. And one of us must find out where Zardos is hiding. The necromancer has absorbed the power of Beliar within himself. And he is master of the orcs.
We found that out first.
You'd better take care of Zardos.
Oh, of course, and me as the big bad nasty mage.
And where will we get new equipment now?
But you know how this works. Collect whatever you can find, and don't let anyone take it from you. And since the orcs are now the rulers of Myrtana, you will get some fine equipment from them.
Take that which belongs to others. Then I hereby start with you. Give me your old armor. Wait, I didn't mean that. I know. Nevertheless, I would like to have it. What do you want with this old thing? See in my eyes. It was stupid to disembark without any armor, although I had offered one to you. Yes, you are right. But if I go around like this, the orcs will surely laugh themselves to death before I can even draw my sword. Yes, we should prevent this. They just barely became our friends. Alright, you get the old shred. I don't have to say that it doesn't offer much protection. It is as good as threadbare. The main thing is that I don't lose my trousers while fighting. Do you mean that the orcs will be shocked by this? No, they would be afraid of this and run away. The great hero fights without trousers. Indeed, a scary thought. Alright. Bad voice acting over. Actually, that's not necessarily true.
You know me. I'll be wherever there's something to be had. Myrtana is now orc territory. But kissing up to orcs just isn't my thing. I will go south. I bet there are some opportunities left in the vastness of the desert. You can set out with Gorn.
Well, we're all splitting up so soon.
Keep your chin up.
I will.
Just like old times, huh?
What are you going to do now?
I will go search for the rebels. I bet they're not all dead yet.
We'll go look for them in a second. So we can get Diego's armor, the shadow armor. It's not very good. 2 points of protection in all physical areas. Even my weakest shield does better than that, but I cannot use a shield. So you need a skill to do that. Quick save is now a function, which is thankful, but it is not really all that quick.
We owe you so much.
You're welcome. I don't know who we is, because you're all dead, except for you. But, yeah. Once we go visit Redok and inform the rebels that Ardea is free, we can come back here and Hamlar will be a merchant. But I don't really remember if he has anything that useful. Anyway, Gorn, let's get moving.
Show me where the rebels are hiding.
It's not far from here. Follow me.
Onwards into darkness. Now, one of the biggest problems with this game is the fact that NPCs who are either following you or leading you do not respond to enemies at all until either the player or the NPC himself takes a hit. or, you know, you hit them. But basically, Gorn would have walked right past that scavenger and done nothing, if it wasn't for the fact that I hit it first. These ogre leaves are actually pretty useful plants, but you cannot wander too far from Gorn, otherwise he will just disappear. So, can't really collect all the plants, he's already too far beyond that. Now, believe it or not, Gothic 3, Risen 2, and now Risen 3 are all being built on this engine, or have been and are being. Which is kind of astounding. I don't think this has really gotten any major updates since this one, but that might be why, you know, they built this engine too powerful, I think, or too demanding, not powerful. So that's why a lot of systems at the time could not even run this game. I remember I had it on, you know, absolutely minimum settings. I was probably getting about 15 frames a second on average on the old computer. And I remember I found one small stretch, a really small valley that was part of the pass into Nordmar. I think it was probably right about here. And I just ran up and down that path for like half an hour, because it was the only place in the game that I got above 30 frames per second. And I was just like, my mind was blown. But, yeah, I don't know why Prenderbice refuses to use a licensed engine. So I think they could spend less time trying to fix bugs and stuff like that. Although it really depends. Because if it's an engine they're not experienced with, it might actually take them even longer. But I feel like they could invest some of that time, and then they could just use a more powerful engine to build their games, and then they wouldn't have to worry about everything looking blocky and feeling dated. But, oh well. We'll see what Risen 3 turns out like. I'm actually curious if I'll even finish this game before that. I honestly don't think I will. I'll probably be finishing this up after my playthrough of Risen 3 is already taken off, assuming they don't delay it, which they very well might.
See? Here they are. I knew it. I really hope the orcs never find this hideout. I'll stay here for a while, and then be on my way. Hang in there. See you around.
So yeah, he sticks around here for a while, but he doesn't really do anything. You can't ask him to follow you. He doesn't train you or anything. He doesn't really give you anything useful. But when he moves on to Gotha, that's when things really hit the fan. Oh my goodness. Oh gracious. I mean, that kind of performance hit will happen no matter what. Even without Fraps recording, but I feel like the frame rate at least might be higher in general, which, since it's hanging around 30, is almost irrelevant. Oh my goodness. I'm sliding. Yeah, YouTube does not go above 30 frames a second, so. But, yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. Oh, something's after me. It gave up. Okay. It was probably one of the boars. Nope, it's still after me. Alright, well, if you want to go solo, bro. Oh, clever girl. Do something! Yeah, eat it. Ah, stamina. Okay, that worked. Whew, that was intense. Yeah, one of the biggest problems with this game, the sound assets are just atrocious. There's no impact sound, or, you know, there is one, but it's very underwhelming. Things don't make much noise when they die. There's just no real urgency to the fighting unless there's a lot going on and the music is really bombastic. But when you're just fighting one thing, it's really not that thrilling. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Gothic 3. I'm posting this all as one episode just to kind of whet your appetite. I'll be recording more when I'm, you know, really in a much better state of mind, and we can get the ball rolling. Next episode, we'll be talking to a lot of people in Reddick. Then we'll be moving on to Cape Dunn. Pretty much the way this is going to work. I'm going to go city by city and do most of the shit in each one. From there, I think I'll head to Varant. Once I wrap up some stuff there, I'll head to Nordmar. We'll wrap up some shit there. And, it's going to be a long one. And at some point, I will, I'll be overlapping a lot of these things. And, then, I will be going with the canonical ending, actually. The one that is pretty much accepted by every major source. The one that Risen essentially draws from. The one that Forsaken Gods draws from, and Arcania, even though those two titles should never be mentioned, and I will likely never play on my channel. But as far as future Gothic goes, obviously Risen 3, I'll be doing that. But once that's over, my channel will be very much void of Piranha Bytes games. So what I thought about doing was actually, after all this, I would probably do a playthrough of an unmodded Gothic. Since I did it with the Dark Mysteries mod, I've been humoring the idea of just doing it just the way it is. Plain, vanilla, nothing added to it. Since Dark Mysteries ended up really just being a huge disappointment to me. I expected it to be better than it was. I had played through it once and maybe a half. I had actually never finished it, though, to be honest. I came very close, but I came to realize that the reason I stopped playing it and never finished it was because it was so unbearably buggy. And that's exactly what I found it to be when I was doing my playthrough. There was no way I could finish it without using a load of Marvin mode commands. Which, by the way, Marvin mode exists in this one, too. The problem with this is holding control and moving forward will actually lock the camera on whatever you're targeting, assuming it's a living thing. That's a huge pain in the ass, because I've yet to find a way to undo that. So, I would advise not having Marvin mode on if you can. So I turned it back off, everything's well and good. But... Up! Well, this is a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for this, but I have apparently just crashed the game. So, yeah, that's that. Ladies and gentlemen, I really hope you enjoyed. It's going to be a very slow start to this game. Just that's because of the way it is. But we're gonna head to Reddick next. We'll kill some things in a cave, and then we'll go to Cape Dunn. We'll talk to some people, fight a bit, and then we'll take a fellow out hunting bandits, and it'll be marginally thrilling for a while. But things will. This is just the way this game works. Nothing really kicks off until the very end. And that's what you'll just have to wait and see. This first episode is about 50 minutes at this point. So I hope you all enjoyed. And I hope you all will stick around for more. It's going to be really fun to bring this to you guys, even though I was kind of burnt out on Gothic for a while. After Dark Mysteries was over, I started Risen 2 or Gothic 2 too soon. But it ended up working nicely in the end. Gothic 2 almost took me a year to complete. I hope this one doesn't take as long as that, but that was because of some extenuating circumstances. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, have a great night.